All right, appearing now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline as the Sixers beat the Heat. They take a 2-1 series lead. Marc Jackson, NBC Sports Philadelphia Pre and postgame live as the Sixers will take on the Heat at 2:30 in game number 4. He joins us now to take a look back, a look ahead here on the Sports Bash. Mark, what is happening, my friend?
Sixers are clicking, man. Sixers are clicking, and it looks good.
All right, Mark, you said that his presence was really the big difference last night.
Yes, that's Joel Embiid. I mean, come on, let's face it, guys. He's the best center in the NBA. Some people argue DeMarcus Cousins. Some people say Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is not a center to me. So I think Joel Embiid is the best center in the league right now. So with that being said, he goes on the top of every coach's board. So the 76ers is clicking so well winning 17 straight games, or when they're going on an amazing streak, and then you throw the best center in the game in there, and people said, oh, you got to slow the pace down. No, you don't. Joel Embiid is an athlete. He flows the way the team flows, and however you want to play, he can adapt and conquer.
40% shooting from the field with Embiid on the floor, 54% when he's off. His presence isn't only on the offensive side. They're 1 for 9 from 5 feet or closer when Embiid's on the floor. He changes everything on defense, which also changes their offense.
I agree with you 100%. Did you see one of the very first plays when James Johnson tried to go up on Embiid in the lane, and Embiid went vertical straight up in the air and met him high and got that block? And it was just that was the sign. The total sign was like, man, Embiid is back. So I think that kind of changed the tide for them, because that gave his teammates confidence. I really think it kind of kicked Miami in the gut, saying, "Oh, the big fella's back." And he just kept going. The team cannot score in the paint when Joel is there. Even if he doesn't block a shot, he alters so many shots.
He said last night, Mark, he's the best defensive player in the league. Number one, would you agree with that? And number two, if you have a player that is that impactful defensively, is that a team that you can make a finals run with?
I think it is. Because you think of what you need to succeed in the NBA and to go far. You need a team, somebody that has a presence offensively that commands a double team. That's Joel Embiid. And I won't argue Ben Simmons, too, because when he gets going to that rim, the normal point guards cannot contain him one-on-one. So I think you have pretty much one definite, maybe two, on some given night. You have to have three-point shooting. Sixers have 4 legitimate shooters in Ilyasova, Dario Saric, J.J. Redick, Bellinelli. I'm not even counting Rocco, who's been streaky but can knock it down. So you need those things, and you have to have someone who alters shots around the rim, which is a defensive presence that makes the other team afraid to attack the rim, and that's what Joel gives them on both ends of the floor. He can score on offense, and he can change the tempo of the game on the defensive end. This team has the make of a successful team that have a big run.
Now, Mark, you said on Tuesday you thought if he did play that he might play about 20 minutes or so. So how surprised were you that he was able to give them 30 minutes and how productive he was in those 30 minutes?
For me, I think the poll question was it 10 to 21 or 21 to 30 or 30 or above? I picked the 21 to 30 because I thought he would get a minimum of 20. But then it would see how he feels, and if he could play more, they'd play him more. But I don't think I'm playing him a little less because he wouldn't have a big impact. I was just surprised at how he was able to maintain his energy. Like, he was tired at halftime doing an interview with Molly at halftime. He's bent over to her side because he couldn't stand up. And there was periods in the fourth quarter where he did have his hands on his knees, but he was able to tough it out and give that team what they needed to be successful and to dominate their game. And I just think if you look at the video from that game compared to the first two, his presence is just unbelievable how he plays the game at such a high pace, missing almost 3 weeks of basketball.
Do you think then now he'll come out an even better and more productive player now that he has 30 minutes of actual game playoff action under his belt? Will he come out better in Game 4?
Yes, I do. I think each game the rust will wear off more and more, and he can get back his rhythm, get back his legs under him. I truly believe The playoffs is the best atmosphere for him. The scheduling is best for him. He gets plenty of time to rest, get a chance in between to walk through things, get shots up, shoot around. So I really think with every practice, every day, every game, the rust comes off more and more, and he can play better and better to his full potential.
Now, what impact do you think Embiid's presence, Marc Jackson, had on the rest of the rotation? Because we had talked going into the game, maybe we'd see more of Markelle Fultz. Brett Brown had said he might use him more. There wasn't a lot of Markelle Fultz because it really was the Ben and Joel show quite a bit.
It really was, and let's just give credit where it's due. You know, he gave Markelle a chance to make an impact in the game the first half, and he really didn't. So the second half, he did what he did in previous game 2 was he went to TJ, and I thought TJ gave that team a spark. It really lit fire on them, and then he also coming with Justin Anderson. I mean, Coach made some pretty big-time plays, man, and I would like to see Markelle Fultz play because I think this experience would benefit him more, but it's not about getting Markelle Fultz experience now. It's about winning the game, and if TJ is going to have more impactful experience for this team, then you got to roll with TJ.
Yeah, Mark, and, we were kind of harping on the show the other day about, we thought Brett Brown made the adjustments in Game 1 that maybe put them over the top. Spoelstra made the adjustments in Game 2 that maybe put them over the top. But I thought last night was a big learning to find out a lot more about Brett Brown and what kind of coach he is. And, we haven't seen him in a lot of these big-time situations to see what kind of adjustments he was going to make in Game 3. And I thought he did a really good job of countering what Miami threw at them in Game 2, and I thought he kind of won up to Spoelstra in the last game.
I really believe this has been a very good chess match between the coaches. Game 1, coach decides to go small in the second half to really get White Sox completely out of the game, and it worked. Game 2, Spoelstra decides to play full court. Hard-nosed defense on Ben, pick him up, apply pressure, and then work through the Sixers' rhythm of the game. Even though I thought Ben had a very good game, I thought the 76ers offense wasn't in rhythm. So that little minor change, adjustment, made it difficult for the Sixers to get into their offense and their good rhythm. And then Game 3, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid steps in on the court, and he just changes things on the defensive end and the offensive end, but also Coach going back to TJ in the second half and then playing Justin Anderson. I think it's been – so now we have to wait and see what Spoelstra might do. What is Spoelstra going to do to maybe come up to try to get a checkmate on Coach Brett Brown? So it's going to be quite interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, great point by you. Do you think, Mark, that we learned a lot about Brett Brown in that Game 3, pivotal to make the changes? Did you think that did we find out a lot about maybe Brett Brown and his coaching ability? Because let's be honest, there have been people throughout the year that said, well, they didn't do this and he should be fired. I don't like his rotations and they give up too many big leads. But when push comes to shove, and here we are in the playoffs, I thought last night was a big moment for him.
Yes, I really do. I really believe that Coach Brett Brown is really living up to the hype from Coach Popovich. Coach Popovich is the one that's been praising Brett Brown since he took the job when things weren't going well, saying, listen, now you're heading coaching when you have enough talent. Now they have enough talent. You got to sit by him and do by him and do him right. And I really thought that was pretty big for Coach Popovich to do that. Secondly, Coach Brown has shown that he is capable of coaching a winning team with the right amount of talent and making adjustments on the fly. That's something we haven't seen before because we've never seen him in the playoff as the head coach.
Hey, Mark, you're a former big man yourself. I got to ask you a little bit about Gogglegate, Maskgate, Justice Winslow, the gamesmanship, that goes into a playoff game. Your view of that, you're already laughing, so I know you find it amusing, but on the court, just the intensity and the physicality of that game last night and the games within the game.
It was, listen, that was my kind of basketball. I'm going to be blatantly honest with everybody. That game last night, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference playoffs with the Sixers and the Heat, was my kind of game. It was the most physical game, the most fouls drawn in playoffs since 1950s, I believe. The was between Syracuse and I forgot who was the other team. It was the most fouls since that game. And that game went to triple overtime. The Mice, keep that in mind. This was like, don't give up anything easily. This is like get physical, get chippy. What Winslow did, stepping on them goggles, twisting it, and not just that, then picking it up and trying to break it in his hand. I mean, that was to me that was incredible game. That's like when you're on a golf course and somebody's about to hit and you down a stroke. You tell them, hey, watch out for this water on the right. So, I mean, it's just that game of shit that you might need that edge. And Winslow tried it, but unfortunately, he didn't know Joel Embiid had like 50 masks.
Yeah.
It is going on sale.
So, after the game, Joel revealed that he had 50 masks. The other thing that I came away with, too, is how impressive Dario Saric has been in his first 3 games. You guys had that graphic up last night. 20 points, 23 points, 21 points. I mean, playoff Dario is – Ben and Joel get all the attention, but you got to put some spotlight on Dario.
You do. Now, let's think about that. He's had over 20 points in his first 3 playoff games, which has never been done by a Sixer before. If I'm not mistaken, that was the correct thing in the playoffs. Let's do the math on it. Let's be honest. I didn't see 20 in the games because I was just focused on Ben. I was focused on Joel. I was focused on other people. I was shooting. I learned some shooting. I did not see Dario get at least 20 points in all 3 games. So for me, that is great because what's that telling you? That's telling you Coach Brett Brown is not drawing up plays in a huddle specifically for Dario. Everything he's getting is in the flow of the offense. So if you're an opposing coach, if a player is getting his scoring done in the parameters of the team's offensive sets, and there's no particular plays being called for him to ISO or to go one-on-one, that's a tough matchup for you because you can't really key on him because you don't know when he's going to shoot. You really don't. So I'm impressed by Super Dario. Been since day one. I've seen him in Zagreb in Croatia more than 6, 7, 8 years ago. So I've been a big fan of his, and then that's just adding more to it for Spoelstra. He's even a bigger headache because you can't game plan for somebody who they're not particularly calling plays for to get going.
Well, they may not be calling plays for him, but Ben Simmons makes it all go. I do want to get back to the physicality of the game because Embiid, you certainly saw the physicality that he had in the game and how he was able to sort of exert his will. How do you think Ben Simmons responded? Because it looked like he maybe got either frustrated or rattled a little bit in Game 2. How do you think he bounced back in Game 3, and what impact did he have on the game, even though it was such a physical basketball game?
So, to me, the series has been tough. Ben had 5 turnovers Game 1, and in the second game, when Miami was really going out their way to really play bully ball, to cheap shotting, to doing all that, Ben only had 2 turnovers in the entire game and had 24 points. So I think when Spoelstra's seen that, I think that kind of opened his mind like, oh, we might be in trouble. The rookie point guard, when we really try to pick him up full court, we really try to get physical with him, we really try to throw him around. He only had 2 turnovers. Yes, he had that offensive foul. That's one. But that's that one mistake. He even sped up a little bit, but he's still able to keep his poise. Coach Brett Brown said something in the press conference. Ben has been prepared for this since he was 14 years old by his father. This has been something that's been in his DNA. His father has been teaching him about the poise of the game, the pace of the game, the media, how to handle media. Say less, don't say too much. You know, he's been so even keel that to me, Ben has been an ultimate magician as far as tricking us all. He can't be a rookie. He can't be young. He's got to be like a 35-year-old, 15-year vet to me because he's just so poised. And I'm proud of the way he's handled everything.
Hey, Mark, by the way, you're right. It almost is like he's hit the pause button and everybody's hitting fast forward around him all the time. That's just the way that he consumes the game while he's on the court. But I want to get back to it, a stretch from Embiid real fast. They're up by 7 with 5 minutes and 40 seconds left, and Embiid hits a 3, a 16-footer, and 2 free throws. It just shows you the versatility and how difficult he is for teams to figure out what the hell to do with.
Exactly. He's a tough matchup for anybody because if you put another 7-footer as a Whiteside, he can also post them. It's not like size matters in that category because he's so skilled. He still takes the big fellas in a post. He goes on a wing. It was a situation where they had Richardson guarding him on the 3-point line, and Joel swung through and got fouled and was shooting free throws. And I was just like, so let me get this straight. He had a guy his size in the post. He got an and one. Now he's on the three-point line with a 6'6" guard on him. He makes him foul him. I mean, this guy's just so skilled. He's a tough matchup. He's hard to guard for any team player on the court, and he's so smart. He's not just jacking up shots. He's so versatile. He knows how to get fouled, makes his free throws with or without a mask. I mean, he's just a hard guard for anyone.
All right, 2:30, Game 4, down now. Not only did they take the series lead, Mark, we really haven't mentioned first time they've won in Miami since 2014. They went down there twice this year and lost, so this was a big hurdle for them to jump over too. So give us a little skinny on Game 4, 2:30, and how you kind of see what Spoelstra now. What kind of adjustment does he try to make?
I think Spoelstra has tried to run with the Sixers. He's trying to keep the possession tempo up with the Sixers. He's also trying to incorporate being extra physical and tough, old Pat Riley kind of basketball, and it hasn't worked. Yes, Miami won Game 2 at the Philadelphia because Sixers couldn't hit nothing. They couldn't make a shot. They shot 19% from three, only the second worst shooting percentage in the NBA playoff history since last year, Houston Rockets against the Thunder, for teams shooting over 35 three-pointers. So with all that being said, the Miami Heat is going to – I think they can't make many adjustments. They cannot. They tried it one way the first game. The last two games they tried a different way. I think they're going to try to keep bringing the press, bringing the full court pace, making Sixers play fast. I think they're going to keep trying to be physical. But I think even if even if two players have an offense shooting the ball for the Sixers, they have other guys that can hit shots. And Rocco has been off this series. So now you got to help him. Maybe he'll hit a shot or two. Dario's been consistent. I still think the 76ers have too much firepower for the Miami Heat, and I truly believe the 76ers get another win in Miami Saturday.
Bellinelli had 30. They went with him last night. They rode the hot hand with Bellinelli, 33 minutes, and he was 4 of 8 from three-point. Ersan only played to 20, but it seemed that Brett Brown was content of, all right, you're the hot guy tonight. We're going to stick with you. So we'll see how the bench goes, and I think really he's got a lot of toys to play with as the Sixers take on the Heat. Game number 4, 2:30. You can hear it on 97.3 ESPN. So, Mark, last one on Miami. Does Dwayne Wade have one more Herculean-type effort to drive this game to maybe a 6 or 7?
I think Dwayne Wade's going to give it his all. I really believe he's going to go out guns a-blazing next game. I really think he's going to be extra aggressive. He was aggressive last night, but Justin Anderson did a good job, as much others did a good job defending him, and he couldn't get going. I really think he's going to try his hardest and will his team to win. From watching how the team dismantled them last night, I don't think the Miami Heat can win another game like this now. So my first thing was the Sixers and 6. I have to say I think Sixers get it done in Miami and then back at home.
Mark, I saw you talking about the Heat player that stepped onto the court. You send that tape to the league office?
Oh, no, I didn't. That's up to the Sixers front office. They got to do that. But every time I see a scuffle on the court, that's the first thing I look at, who's crossing that line. So I thought it was pretty big time. A good friend of mine, Juwan Howard, when Abayu stepped over the line, he grabbed Abayu and swung him back to the bench so fast that but I seen it, I said, oops, it might have been too late. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if the Sixers send that tape to the office. But, if I was the coach, I would, because he's helped.
He's Marc Jackson, NBC Philadelphia Sixers pre- and post-game here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys. Have a great one.